Okay, good morning, everyone. Going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. The time is 9:04 on the 23rd of January. Just so everyone's aware, we do have a couple of the commissioners joining via WebEx at this time. But I would first like to go ahead and invite Pastor Tencha Camarona up to give our invocation. Up to the mic, thank you. Right there. Of course, yes, ma'am.
Can you please stand so we can pray? Yeah. Father God, we praise you this morning and we thank you for being here all together. We're asking you, Lord, to come and give us the knowledge, the wisdom that we need, Lord, to direct this county in the name of Jesus Christ. I pray for every family here that is represented, and Father, give them that wisdom and a lot of harmony and a lot of peace that they can solve things, Lord, the way that they're supposed to do it. Thank you, Lord. I bless every one of these persons here in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
And now if you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Brandy, if I can get a roll call, please.
Commissioner Reynolds? Commissioner Chaparro? Commissioner
Present.
Sanchez? Chaparro?
Commissioner Chapato, is that you?
Present.
Yes.
Yes, this is Commissioner Chaparro, present.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Present.
Vice Chair Murillo?
Present.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Present. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Mr. Chair, may I interrupt? Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Of course. Mr. Macias, the Board of Commission convenes as the Board of County Commissioners and the County Board of Finance in open session. Mr. Macias, any changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I have no changes to the agenda.
Perfect. Okay, next we do have the pet showcase. Mr. Macias, if you'll lead us through that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As most of you know here in the audience, the County Commission takes an opportunity at each of its meetings to advocate for the adoption of animals from the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. This week, our cat of the week is Percy, who's 3 years old and is a male. I'd like to be the life of the party and the center of attention. I'm very outgoing and friendly. I might be better as the only cat in the home, as I'm a bit of a particular boy. While I do love attention, I don't like to be babied, so please don't hold or carry me for too long. I just want to be respected, loved, and revered as the king I am. That's very descriptive of a lot of people that I know. Our dog of the week is Jackie, 1 year old and female. Initially, I can be a little shy, but all I need are some sweet words and gentle reassurance, and then I'll show you my soft and loving side. I've gotten used to being on a leash thanks to some lovely volunteers who spend time with me, so now I'm just waiting on my forever family to take over, helping me build confidence and watching me blossom. So, Mr. Chairman, there's opportunities to adopt either Jackie, Percy, or some other animal from the Animal Services Center that might capture your heart. This coming Saturday at Adoptions at Staples at 2260 East Loman Avenue. And again, on behalf of the County Commission, we encourage those of you that are here in the audience and that may be watching the proceedings to really give serious consideration to adopting a forever friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. Moving on, we do have the employee recognition, where the commission will recognize Doña County employees for their years of service to Doña County. County Manager Macias.
Testing. Thank you. Wow, you're strong. That's all it took, a little extra pressure. Better get back to the gym. So again, good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, we take advantage at every meeting to honor and recognize employees that have reached a certain milestone in their career with the county and their service to the community. Let's begin this morning with 10-year anniversary, Sergeant Jonathan Almanza. And again, let me ask our honorees to come forward as I call their names. Sergeant Jonathan Almanza joined the Doña County Sheriff's Department as a cadet in November of 2013 and earning his certification in December of 2014. In 2016, he was assigned to the Patrol Division, and later that year, he joined the Traffic Unit. In that role, he assisted in identifying specialized projects, DWI checkpoints, crash investigations. He also helped in the Tip a Cop events, raising money for the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics. In February of 2022, he was promoted to sergeant in the Traffic Division, which is his current role. Please join us in congratulating Sergeant Almanza for his 10th year work anniversary, and of course, thanking him for contributing such great service to our community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the commission in giving a special recognition to this very honorable officer. Again, this plaque with a seal of the county recognizes Jonathan Almanza in appreciation for and recognition of 10 years of dedicated service to Doña County on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, County Management. This was from the 13th of January of 2014 through our current date. And again, if you'll be patient with us as we take pictures with the commission. Let's proceed with Deputy Jared O'Rear. Deputy O'Rear joined Doña County in the Sheriff's Department as a cadet in September of 2013, earning his certification in 2014. In 2016, he was assigned to the Patrol Division, where he currently covers the swing shift as Senior Deputy on Patrol. He proudly holds the responsibility of training future deputies and providing guidance when needed. His supervisor, Lieutenant Scott Bayless, says that he considers himself fortunate to have worked closely with Deputy O'Rear most of his career. He has seen him grow from an academy graduate into a well-rounded law enforcement officer who mentors new deputies. He's someone others seek for advice in complex situations. Known for his pleasant and approachable demeanor, he is a pleasure to work with. When interacting with the public, he is sincere in his willingness to help, is patient and empathetic. His experience and personal approach guide him to make very sound decisions. At home, Deputy O'Rear is a devoted family member who loves spending time with his wife and children and taking on home improvement projects. So there's going to be a lot of people in the audience that want to talk to you after this ceremony. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join the County Commission in giving a special recognition, again, to a special law enforcement officer and all of the dedication, commitment that requires in providing services to the public. Deputy Jared O'Rear. To Jared O'Rear, I've got to get that. In appreciation for and recognition of 10 years of dedicated service to Doña County, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and County Management. There comes a point where you don't want to share the number of years that someone has been working for Doña County. But our next honoree has provided really outstanding service for 25 years, Miss Raquel Quiroga. I can tell you brought your entire cheering section. Ms. Quiroga joined the Financial Services Department in December of 1998 as an accounting technician. She was promoted to payroll specialist in 1999 and to senior payroll specialist, accountant 2 in 2001. In 2004, she was promoted to her current role as accountant 3. She is currently responsible for a wide range of responsibilities, including the general ledger, reconciliation, debt service, and preparing financial reports. Because of her experience and attention to minute detail, she also reviews financial reports prepared by other accountants for accuracy. She is a key member of the team that prepares the annual financial audit and compiles the annual comprehensive financial report. Her supervisor and county controller, Nazrin Nelson, said Ms. Quiroga is truly an asset to the finance department and the county. She has made lasting contributions to the improvement of services that the department offers and is a competent, hardworking, dependable, and dedicated team player. Ms. Quiroga's source of pride as being part of a team has grown while also excelling. The finance department has received both clean audits, accountability award numerous years. This is only accomplished through the team's dedication to their work and collaboration with each other and others and the department staff. And the public should know that we'll be addressing the most current round of outstanding recognition that the county has received because of the hard work of not only Ms. Quiroga, Ms. Nelson, and all others in the finance department. At home, Ms. Quiroga said she loves and appreciates the simple things in life, like spending nights at the ballpark cheering. I heard it was yelling and just going crazy out there for her son and his team during baseball season, and this is more appropriate, rocking out at concerts with her daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, just on a personal note, Ms. Quiroga is one of the finest public servants, most dedicated that I certainly have had any contact with over the last 40 years. Please join the commission in joining us in recognizing 25 years of service to the community on behalf of Ms. Raquel Quiroga. So actually, this is a little bit more of a fruit plate, but Raquel Quiroga, in appreciation for and recognition of 25 years of dedicated service to Doña County on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and County Management. Congratulations. Our last honoree this morning, and again, this is with a mixed feeling. It's a retirement after 15 years with Doña County. That's Mr. Lorenzo Olivas. Mr. Olivas joined the Sheriff's Department in October of 2008 as an inventory technician. In this role, he maintained the department's entire inventory. In 2011, he was promoted to Evidence and Property Specialist in the Evidence Division, where he continues to provide invaluable support to the department. His supervisor, Captain Jared Houston, said Lorenzo is a dedicated worker who has been instrumental in shaping the success of our evidence section. Over the past 15 years, he showed a commitment to excellence and set a standard that inspires those around him. His contributions have impacted the evidence section and leave a lasting imprint on the work culture of other divisions in the Sheriff's Office. He has a keen sense of humor, and throughout his tenure, he found time to be an active participant in the Doña County Employee Activity Committee, designing many of the committee's colorful and informative event posters. In retirement, he plans to travel and indulge in painting during his well-deserved leisure time. Ladies and gentlemen, we always focus on our law enforcement officers, as we should, but as part of that overall team are sometimes more unrecognized support staff that provide critical support to the entire criminal justice process. And Mr. Olivas is one of those individuals. Rarely have I ever seen anyone with a more pleasant demeanor, more inviting personality. We truly will miss the commitment not only to the Sheriff's Department, to our community, to the rest of the employees outside of the Sheriff's Department as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the Commission in a special recognition for the retirement of Mr. Lorenzo Olivas. He gets the monster one. Corey, come help me with this because this will probably, no, it's okay, I can help. In honor of your service, Lorenzo R. Olivas retired with distinction after 15 years of loyal service on the 31st of January, 2024.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Chaparro.
before Mr. Olivas leaves from the front of the room, I would just like to say, Lorenzo, thank you so much for your service. I've known you for over 45 years. You've been a dear, beloved, loyal friend to me. You're a fine gentleman, and you're an exceptional person, and we will miss you dearly. Congratulations, my friend. Sending you a lot of love.
Thank you, Susie.
Wonderful, thank you. Moving on, we do have public input. If anyone is here for public input, please come up, sign the book to your left, and then approach the podium, and you will have a timer set for public input. If you are here to talk about anything on the agenda, if you will please wait until that agenda item is brought forth.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Truth and lies. You're drifting on the ocean in a raft, and one morning you wake up on the beach of an island, and everywhere you look, you see sand, no life. But right in the middle of this island is a brand new Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL, and you say, look what evolved from the sand. Never. If we take the time to look around at all the different forms of life that supposedly evolved from pond scum, that's even more of a ludicrous thing to come out with. But yet that's what we're taught in school. Evolution is not science. In order to be science, it has to meet three elements. It has to be observable.
Can I interrupt you for one moment? Hey, everyone that's doing public comment, if you can please just come up one at a time after someone speaks. That way we have respect for the person speaking. So if everyone can sit down and we'll just go one at a time. Thank you. Go ahead. I apologize.
That's fine. So in order to be science, it has to be observable. It has to be documentable. If you can't observe it, you can't document it, and it has to be repeatable. They tell us that birds evolved from dinosaurs. Let's study that. Birds have very light wings. Dinosaurs are light bones. Dinosaurs have heavy bones. Birds' center of gravity is around their wings. A dinosaur's is around its hips. A bird has a circulatory respiratory system, but a dinosaur breathes the same way as we do, in and out. And at some point in time, that dinosaur, because he can't run because his front legs are mutant, he's going to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. There's no way that you can have evolution. So why did this happen? It happened because they wanted to discredit the 7 days of creation that's in the Bible. Because if you can discredit a little bit of a Bible, then you can say, how can you believe the rest of the Bible? But I tell you that the Bible is true because history and mathematics, a hard science, show this. So where is evolution? It takes millions of years. We still have monkeys. We still have pond scum. There should be evolution all around us right now, but there isn't. After 160 years of creation, or from the time that they started evolution, Darwin came out with evolution. 160 years, they have zero evidence. All they've got is a cartoon with a monkey on one side, a man on the other, and all these intermediate figures in between. So why do I bring this up? I told you that my friend Michael, because he was homeschooled, had a far better education than I did. He wasn't taught stuff like that. We're being indoctrinated in public schools. Homeschooling, they're getting good schooling. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, next.
Good morning. My name is Susie Kimball, and I'm here to represent Mississippi Valley Hospital and the greater community, including Local Collaborative 3 and certain other people that have used the Crisis Triage Center. We've come today, very many of us, to talk about the Crisis Triage Center. First, I'd like you to know we have envisioned a Crisis Triage Center for over 20 years. It was designed initially to ease the congestion in the emergency rooms where people go with mental health issues and are stuck in there for 8 to 10 hours. Part of the reason they're stuck in there is because transportation is very hard to get for people that are not bleeding or having a heart attack. Once they're in the emergency room and they're evaluated, it needs to be determined where they go next. Often, if an officer brings them in, they have to stay with them that entire time, and that causes trouble. So I want you to know about the Crisis Triage Center is that it's been said that the average is 3.5 people per day that come in there. If that's true, you are potentially saving 3.5 lives per day. And when it's said that those patients can now go to MMC and be treated, let's clog up the emergency room with 3.5 patients a day who stay in there 8 to 10 hours, blocking emergency rooms, blocking rooms that people who are bleeding or having heart attacks could be using. It's a huge problem. It's a much bigger problem than the county worrying about how much money they spend on it. Santa Fe County, 2 years ago when I visited there, told me that they subsidized their crisis triage center by $1 million a year. If we don't think we have to subsidize it, we're not thinking clearly. Now, Mesilla Valley Hospital, Peak, we're interested in helping solve the problem, but both of us are corporate entities. Our corporate companies will not let us do crisis triage centers at a loss for every patient. That's why the county has to subsidize. It's not something we can just pick up and do. Also, MMC can't take them at all either. They have 12 beds on their unit. If you have 3.5 patients per day up there, they don't just stay one day when they're in a place like that. So a 3.5 patients a day could lead to 10 days of patient stay. It's not a good solution. It's not a good idea. And I'm very sorry that the county didn't take the money from the state, because that could have saved the crisis triage center for the rest of the year until June 30th, and we could have found a new solution. And I'm very sorry that y'all didn't look at that, because we have people that are going to suffer. I know a lot of people who have used the crisis triage center. We partner at Mesilla Valley with the crisis triage center. It's a very valuable service, and I'm sorry that y'all are not going to continue it, and the county will feel it. The community will feel it. We don't need another hospital here. We need those crisis services. If somebody comes in the hospital, we start right away with treatment. Crisis triage is a little bit softer. It helps them find out what they need. They can do their laundry there. They can get a nap. They can get a meal. They can rest for a little while. And very many people walk out of there saying, wow, that was a great stay. And that helped me. And I want you to consider the 3.5 people whose lives you could be saving every day.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Commissioners Reynolds, Sanchez, Hernandez, Murillo, and Chaparro. My name is Javier Cornejo. I am a certified peer support worker and a mental health technician. I am here to represent the Crisis Center. First of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity. I want to thank you, Commissioners, as well. Thank you for the opportunity that was given to us to work at the Crisis Center and help a lot of people in need. Today, I'm here with the rest of my peers from the Crisis Center, and I want to highlight each and one of them for their amazing job, everything they did for those in need. Growing up, I was a trouble kid. I grew up in Doña in Anthony, New Mexico, in and out of rehab and jail and the foster care system. The staff in these mental health programs impacted my life. They helped me put my life together. And the most important of all, God was able to finish the work and turn my life around. I became once and for all drug-free. I became an active member of the community and the local religious organizations, a youth pastor as well. February 14 marks 1 decade that I have served the community, helping a lot of people in need. I stand here today to advocate for the Crisis Triage Center to remain open. Give us an opportunity to continue giving services to our community. I want to share an experience that I had working at the center. On 2021, we received a guest that came from California looking for help as he was fighting cancer and drug addiction. He had nowhere else to go, and he came to the Crisis Center. He was left on the streets as his only family member shut the door on him, but we received him with open arms. For a whole month, every day, we took him to his doctor's appointments. He got his Social Security card, his ID. He got housing. He became an active member of the Victory Outreach Church here in town. In 1 month, he had a home for himself. He went through multiple heart surgeries, and sadly, he passed away. The night before he passed away, we were talking on the phone, and he was telling me of how grateful he was for the help that he received at the center. I will never forget that memory. If we can change one person's life in 1 month, in 1 year, that to me is worth everything. That is why I think the CTC should remain open. If only we were to get the correct people to run the center with the help of God, with the help of all of us, clinicians, nurses, providers, peer supports, and with your help, I can guarantee you that the center will be successful. Enough of having the wrong people in the wrong positions. Today here in this room, you have multiple people that have the correct heart to make the center successful. Thank you.
Hello. I don't really have anything prepared, same as the others. I prefer to just wing it as I usually do. My name is Libby Caddy. I'm not even from Doña County, here to represent the 3.5 people a day on average who are able to be blessed by the services provided there. When I got here, I don't even really know how I got here. I was just really lost and kind of drowning, where I couldn't even see anything that looked like something I should be doing. I've only been working with these wonderful people for a couple weeks now. Well, they've been working with me to provide me care and direction and ideas on how I could make my life better. I didn't even realize how far it spiraled out of control. And just in a couple weeks, I've been able to find light and direction. And I heard about it being shut down, and it's not just me. Just today, there was someone who came up in the same situation I was when I first got to the crisis center, and he was scared and he was lost. He still is. He's there now, from my understanding, and I just had to come and speak on something. It'd be a shame for. I've met so many people at this crisis center who were so lost and might still be, and I've heard so many stories about people who really need these services. And like I said, I try to speak on behalf of all of us, that little bit of light, that little bit of direction, that little bit of care, it really goes a long way in being able to find where we're supposed to be in the world. I'm still on my journey, but hopefully I've already made a lot of progress, and hopefully soon I'll be in an even better place. But hopefully this speaks to how much weight it carries and how much value it carries in this community. And like I said, I'm not even from here, and it's brought so much light and direction to my life. So hopefully that's heard. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Michael Simmons. Happy to see you all this fine January morning. As far as the previous speakers, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So yeah, I'm sympathetic to their cause. Change to the topic that I'm chasing down. This is actually a presidential election year. I don't know if anybody's noticed that yet or not. And we've started speaking to you about election integrity issues. In the last 6 months, just going through some headlines, like the Atlantic Journal-Constitution showed recently in a court case that a computer scientist from Michigan went before a judge and was talking, I believe it was the Dominion XCAS systems, was able to change votes on a hypothetical election with nothing more than a chair, with a pen, a USB stick, and some other stuff like that. So we know we have issues with machines. They are different from our machines, so we've got that going for us. We talk a lot about mail-in ballots and drop boxes. There was a Heartland Rasmussen poll that 1 in 5 mail-in voters admit to committing at least one kind of voter fraud during the 2020 election. 17% were mail-in votes admit that in 2020 they voted in a state where they're no longer a permanent resident. 17%, 21% of mail-in voters admit that they filled out a ballot for a friend or family member. 17 with or without his or her permission. 8% of likely voters said they were offered pay or a reward for voting in 2020. We, of course, do have mail-in voting. We also have drop boxes, and we've seen issues with those. We had recently the Attorney General, Ken Paxton of Texas, make statement that a lot of issues showed up in the election because they continued counting overnight in many states. That they stopped counting in toss-up states, so they knew how many mail-in ballots were needed to win in those states. We have Fulton County with its many issues. They have a lawsuit going and their defense team quit on them. They have issues with ballots missing in that case, it looks like. It's not just Republicans or Democrats, or it is not just Republicans. We have Democrat county supervisors accuse other Democrats of rigging elections, et cetera. We have the craziness going on in the state of Arizona between only having one type of paper authorized, but like 10 different types showing up during their audits. And then in our own state, we know that we had an independent audit going and it was stopped. I'm still unaware that anybody has been given a copy of the cast vote records from our own machines to verify how those algorithms are or aren't working. Are they correct? Are they not? I have not heard anything about that, but as far as I know, that has not occurred. And we have the change in the law where now we have to have a judge approve any audit efforts. And so that's not transparency or good for us. And I thank you for your time this day.
Chair and Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to address the Commission. My name is Stephanie Lassarin, and I stand before you as a licensed master social worker and a concerned citizen who is deeply disappointed by the recent decision not to approve the funding for the Crisis Center. A well-run crisis center is crucial for addressing the pressing mental health needs in our state, especially considering the increasing challenges we face daily. Mental health issues are pervasive, affecting individuals and families across New Mexico. We cannot underestimate the importance of having law enforcement on board with initiatives like the Crisis Triage Center. The support is not just beneficial, it's essential. Law enforcement officers are often the first responders to mental health crises. Without a dedicated facility like the Crisis Center, these individuals are left with limited options and our communities bear the consequences. The need for mental health facilities in our state cannot be overstated. Many individuals struggling with mental health crisis end up in emergency rooms or correctional facilities, neither of which is equipped to provide specialized care they require. This not only places a burden on our healthcare and law enforcement system, but also continues a cycle of inadequate care for those in need. A crisis center properly managed would not only alleviate the strain on emergency services, but also provide a compassionate and effective response to those facing mental health challenges. It's an investment in well-being of our citizens and a proactive step towards building a safer and healthy community. I implore the Commission to meet with some of the employees to hear our feedback so you have an idea of what actions can be taken going forward. Let us work together to address the gaps in our current system to ensure that those in crisis receive care and support they deserve. It's just not about funding the center. It's about investing in the mental health and overall resilience of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good morning. My name is Gilbert Vasquez. I'm just a citizen. And I watched your board hearing when you denied this funding. I watched it in the entire thing. And I understand your need for accountability. I really do. But to close the doors to this resource is not accountability. I could understand if you guys made a decision to restructure something, find somebody that is accountable, a provider, we've seen this picture before with resources like this shut down in 2013, I believe, which created by Governor Martinez, which also created a vacuum in the city for the mentally ill or people that are dependent on these resources of mental health. And then the triage center came into focus. All of a sudden, we needed a triage center after these locations were closed. I mean, from one day to the next, if you remember. It didn't work. And now you're doing it again. So I wonder if any of you guys have ever spent a day over there. We had a police officer requesting the need for this service, numerous calls. Healthcare does not come on demand like you guys said. Someone mentioned that build a place, they'll come. We don't know when we're gonna have a crisis. Right now, we have a fentanyl crisis, we have a homelessness crisis, we have multiple crises. We have young men that are suffering from identity crisis, playing video games all day at home, a plethora of them. This is a national problem. So it has to be local as well. And you guys want to shut this down because of $500,000? This is not responsibility and accountability. You guys should be thinking of how you're going to fund this. If you need to get rid of a provider, you need to get rid of someone, but not the whole. You're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We need this center. Our police need this center. I understand the sheriff's problem because they have a vast ruralness in this county. They can't put one officer unless you hire more, I don't know, some kind of peer support right around with the cops. They do it in other states that can take over when these mental crises pop up in the middle of nowhere like Chaparral or Anthony or Santa Teresa and Napra and work with them. But you guys aren't coming up with ideas. You just want to throw it out. That's what I heard. Over $500,000 because you say it's not working. Other people here think it's working. Can you reset that clock? I have some more to say.
As do we all, sir. Thank you so much for your comment today. I appreciate you.
Chair Sheldon Hernandez, excuse me.
Yes,
Can we
ma'am.
just make sure that everybody is signing the book? I know some people came up before to sign it, but if you haven't signed it, please sign the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Good morning. My name is Haney Pearson. I'm not a medical professional or anything. I'm just a member of the electorate. We elect commissioners because we believe that you will do the best to your abilities for the best of the county. But sometimes we disagree with your decisions. This, long before you guys have been commissioners, this critical crisis center has been a political football. We had a building that was completed that remained unused for years. But now things seem to be moving. 3.5 people a day, well over 1,000 people a year. And that has to be worth something. Federal funds are often rejected because of the ties that are attached to them. Hopefully the state would not do such a thing to its own people. I would like for you to please reconsider. This thing has meant something to members of my own family and also to fellow congregants of my church. This is, by all means, of value to our community, and saving lives is something that we have to mean something cost. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Chairman Hernandez and the rest of the commission. My name is Mitchell Boyer. I hail from the historical community of Vado, New Mexico. In case you don't know where Vado is at, let me give you a little history. It's located about 15 miles down the road as one of the oldest historical communities in Doña County. And I'm deeply concerned because as I just recently moved back from Phoenix, Arizona, and I was born and raised lifelong resident of Vado. As a matter of fact, my great-grandfather happened to be the founder of Vado. I'm here to address a great disparity between our communities and every other community in the Doña County. Vado is known as a back then as a colored community. We were an all-black community, and for years we have suffered the disparity and the indifference as any other community. And I'll give you one example, even the day before you. If you look at your budget, and you'll see how much money is allocated for a park over in Vado called Vado Park, not 1 cent. But you look at the park that's only 2 miles up the road, they're getting $400,000 for recreational equipment, and it's barely ever used. People ever go there. This park that I speak of was built about 10 or 12 years ago because I couldn't get the county to do anything for our community in reference to playground equipment. I went out to the business community and got the business community to build the park. And the county agreed to maintain it. I left 12 years ago thinking that by the time it would be developed and the county would contribute to it. I get back 2 months ago, not 1 single cent was spent on that Vado walk path. Look at your budget, you'll see, you think I'm not telling you the truth? Look at your budget, you'll see how much budget for Vado Park, and look at how much was budget for Del Cerro Community Center, which is 2.5 to 3 miles up the road. This is a great injustice and the disparity. It needs to be dealt with. Primarily, I would put the blame on Doña County because people have not even been up there. When I addressed it with several other commissioners, they didn't even know where the Vado walk path was. But it was put on by the local business community because the county wouldn't do it. And I can go through a list in the last 20 years of over 50 indifferences between our community and others. We don't even have a ballpark for our children. We have no playground equipment for our children. We don't have any meeting facilities for our children. And I don't know if you know it, but I just want to put you on notice. This is a great disparity that needs to be dealt with because you need to break this cycle of what I call racism. I'm sorry to say it, but let me pull the race card. I can't think of any other reasons why we were being ignored. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Sanchez.
I know as we're continuing public input, I did want to hopefully make, I know this is not typical, but I did want to make a couple of comments if you'd allow me. Of course. I want to thank you all for coming out for public input and speaking on support of the Crisis Triage Center and the decision that was made 2 weeks ago. I will say, for speaking for myself, this wasn't an easy decision to make. But I think if you go back, and I appreciate, I think some of the points that are brought up was, you know, where and how, when we go back to December of 2022, there was a request at that time by HHS and by the operator, RII, to then at that time double the budget. It went from 500,000 to nearly $1 million. And at that time, some of us commissioners asked, if we're putting more money in, how are we going to work on making sure more people have access to this facility? And that's what it comes down to, is how do we get access? So we, you know, it ended up being approved. I know mainly, I will say my vote, I voted no at that time because when I asked where the money was going, how it is going to be utilized by the provider, we got no answers. It was just on the agenda as increased by 500,000, but no explanation on how it was going to be used. A little more than a year later, here 2 weeks ago, when it came back up, generally, this is, when we get money from the state, it's an easy decision. We always say yes, we take it, and we run. But the problem became is that we keep kicking the can down the road with the CTC. Nobody and if you go back and look at that agenda or that item on YouTube, nobody ever mentioned in that meeting, none of the commissioners, I don't think were aware of it. RII had a contract that was until January 31st. they were going to be, that's when they were at. And so nobody bothered to even say, hey, this, if we don't get it this time, we're going to shut down. When we approved the budget last year, it was assumed that the $1 million that we were going to be putting towards the CTC was going to be for the full year. But nobody on January 9th said, if we don't get this money, it's going to shut down. And that's a shame, because what I asked, when I asked for accountability, was if we're going to continue to put money in and we're not getting more people accessing the center, well, then we need to do something different. It was not about shutting the facility down. It was just asking the question, how are we going to have a different plan here? It wasn't about me wanting to deny the money, but how do we do something different? How do we work with DASO? How do we work with other law enforcement agencies across the county? Because I understand that this is a rural county with an urban center, and I recognize that Las Cruces PD utilized the facility. And when you look at the numbers that were presented to us by RII back in 2020, they showed us numbers of a facility they used in Peoria, Arizona, just out in the Phoenix metro area. They showed us numbers of 3,000 people per month utilizing their center. 3,000 a month, with 60 to 80%, depending on the month, coming from law enforcement. Our numbers, I think were about 20% from law enforcement, and we got 100 people a month. And I understand, I completely agree, this is not about it being profitable or any of that. But if I know that a plan isn't working, we need to change. And so this is where I appreciate you all coming for public input, because what I expect and what I hope is that as moving forward, and I know this is, unless we have a stopgap measure and other services to fill in, that CTC will close, hopefully temporarily, because my intent is to figure out how we develop a plan. And I think this is where the public input is important, because how do we get buy-in from the clinicians, from the healthcare providers, from law enforcement and first responders, and across the county to know that not only do we utilize the 988 service, but how do we get people access, whether they're in Garfield or, I think as the gentleman spoke, in Anapra. We're a very large county. We're bigger than 2 states. So we need a plan. We need a plan so it doesn't matter where you are in the county, people have access to behavioral health when they need it, where they need it. So I apologize that I just want to put that out there, because I really appreciate you all coming out, and I know we're going to keep getting it, but I really want you to understand, at least from where I'm sitting, this was not an easy decision, and this was not about closing the CTC, but it was about how do we utilize our funds the best so that our residents have access to better services. And both in December of 2022 and January 9th, 2 weeks ago, we didn't get a lot of answers. All I was looking for as a commissioner and approving the budget was a plan. How are we going to do things differently? We can't be happy with the status quo. We need to keep growing. And as we learn, as we have more experience, then we continue to make changes in how we operate in that plan. So like I said, I want to put it out there because I want you all to know that was not, when I voted no on not accepting the funds, it wasn't about closing the center, but asking how do we make changes here for the better. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize it took so long.
No, and thank you for saying that, Commissioner Sanchez. And I think that is a really good point. I think as I hear public comment, and I respect everyone and all the amazing stories that we hear about the CTC Center, I as well am very in favor of the CTC Center. I believe that it is a needed necessity here in our community. But what I will say, and what I hope drives the conversation from this point forward with public comment is that we need to focus on how every single resident here in Doña County, and even outside Doña County, which we heard from, but that also means that we need to find a provider that strives for the best in Doña County. And I think at the end of the day, that's where I was. We need a provider that is investing in our community here in Doña and our surrounding areas. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You know, we heard that Santa Fe County invest $1 million. We're over that for a year. And that is perfectly fine with me. But I want to make sure that this is serving every single resident the best that it can. So during public comment, and sorry to steal
That's
your
okay.
few minutes, I hope that we can drive that conversation. As I heard from Stephanie in the back, what they see, what they need, what is the future, what they want to see in the CTC Center is the conversation that we should be happening. The success stories are amazing. Learning from those and growing from those, and then re-infusing that into our community is what I would love to hear, is how we can grow from this, how we can bring in resources for our community that our community can benefit from as a whole. So I encourage you, say what you want to say, please. I want to hear from everyone, but also this is a great time to hear about how you think we can work with the community better and how we can put the CTC to work for everyone. But please do come up, tell us what's going on. We would love to hear it. But sorry for stealing your thunder. Go
That's okay.
ahead. I apologize.
Actually, it's perfect. My name is Patty Hartman, and I'm here to be your cheerleaders on those points. I have a strong personal and professional background in mental health recovery, in psychiatric research, and I am very grateful that you denied the contract to, or let's just say severed the contract with Recovery International. Unfortunately, I think this whole thing happened in a very disrespectful way to all who are impacted by it, which includes myself, the staff, and all people with mental health conditions. I was never a good choice. I followed this from the beginning. I'm not from New Mexico. I came here in 2016, and I think the deal was done originally in an illegitimate process, one that served the interest of those in power and not those in need of a true 23-hour crisis center. It took the county 7 years to do anything with the empty building the first time. So my concern is how long this time. It's the people's interests that you serve, and that means the people, including myself, consumers, et cetera, who should, and employees, the staff of the CTC, who should be included in the process to get this right. The CTC has never been accessible 24/7 as stated, as I found out a couple of times. Once when I tried to take someone at night and there was no nurse and I was told to come back in the morning. That was a major failure. The services at CTC were tailored to people who were more homeless than in mental health crisis. I personally have a place that I rent on my own. I don't need a shower, I don't need food, I don't need laundry. It was appearance more than substance. I suggest that we plan some public meetings to listen to people's needs about what this sudden closure means to them and what they most need in order to try and figure out a temporary workaround if possible, one that would be the most respectful option for those the CT was intended to serve. There are plenty of recovery-based models to consider that have never been considered here, and we need to spend some time researching those that empower people to get the kind of crisis center that serves their needs. That's what will increase the number of people who utilize it. You chose a profit-based corporation to run our crisis center, and their corporate model saw the people as numbers and the numbers as profit. That's why we are abandoned abruptly with doors slamming shut. We must not repeat this lesson. We can and must do better this time with an inclusive plan that can succeed. RI's model was set up to serve local law enforcement. This time we must use this opportunity to serve the people like myself in crisis, and that requires establishing some meaningful outcome measures to evaluate and adjust the methods for progress. because that's what success looks like. And I disagree with the purpose, as someone stated earlier, to take the load off of ER. The purpose should be obvious: to reduce the trauma to people in crisis by the way we are treated at the ER by contracted doctors and residents who are not mental health specialists. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you sign the book, ma'am?
I did.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Amanda Vega, and I'm a current clinician at the CTC, on one of the ships. And I just kind of want to keep this short and sweet. Thank you for your time. And listening to the meeting last week, yes, and the comments that you just made, yes, I'm so glad that we're still fresh and we're still in talks and everything's good. We definitely want more of inclusive community efforts, which I'm so proud to say that we're here. I wanted to bring the heart of the CTC, which is everybody back here. Some have spoken, and just say that we need to continue efforts. We have amongst ourselves gotten together and talked about what was the important things that were taking place, and where do we see what community or what population had the most crisis, and things that we did that were simple things, even the availability of a van to pick up people because they couldn't come. That was a huge thing. You know, offering warm food, a blanket. We had a beanbag chair that people were just like, it was a living room setting and people to talk to. And that's definitely something that we want to keep in mind when we do keep this. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioner, other members of the Commission. My name is James Tiu. I'm a lawyer with the Public Defender Office. I'm joined here by my colleagues, Brianna Champ behind me and Krista Bailey. And I came today with the support of our District Defender, Chris Knudsen, and my immediate supervisor, Lauren Mullins. Statewide, we're represented by our chief, Ben Bauer. About a third of my practice is over at the jail. About 2/3 is over at the district court. Wanted to speak about the need that the Crisis Triage Center fulfilled for our clients. As public defenders, we represent indigent clients. If the Crisis Triage Center was serving 100 people a day, 100 people a month, a lot of those people might have been my clients. So I stand here representing their interests as well. I've attended dozens of city council meetings, and always on the agenda for those wishing to be heard are 2 or 3 persons that will complain about what they see as a revolving door of persons with mental health issues coming in and out of the system. I will say this, I think you all are in the best position to make a decision about where valuable county resources, and I will leave it to your best discretion to make that assessment. What I will say is this, there is a need. I don't speak for judges, I don't speak for the DA's office, I speak for the public defender's office. Our lawyers oftentimes will include a provision that someone leaving custody report to the Crisis Triage Center for services. Just looking at my notes here. I will leave it to your best discretion. My name is James Tiu. If there are any further opportunities for public comment and input, at least from the Public Defender Office, you can count me in. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, Commissioner Chaparro.
thank you. Since you've allowed response to public comments, I'd like to, first of all, thank everyone who is in attendance. I agree with most of the comments that are made. the reason I voted for the Crisis Triage Center is because we were being given money by the state to the tune of a little over $500,000 that was not going to come out of county money whatsoever. It would have given us an opportunity to continue with the triage center until the end of June, and in the interim, we would have had an opportunity to solve the problem with RI and how the triage center was to continue. As Commissioner Sanchez stated, I don't believe any of the commissioners were aware that the contract would be ending in June, but that would have given us a 5-month buffer to come up with different solutions. I think that hearing more public comment regarding what is needed in this county regarding the Crisis Triage Center is a must. But I just wanted to explain to the people that are there present. And again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to express your opinion. They are so valuable to me, and I'm only speaking for myself again. But that would have given us another 5 months of having the Crisis Triage Center open in order to come up with either a different provider or a different solution to move forward with the Crisis Triage Center. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Krista Bailey. I'm a colleague of James Tu. I also work at the Law Offices of the Public Defender. I am another attorney with the office. I know that multiple attorneys wanted to be here or express their views on the Crisis Triage Center in a letter. I've also spoken to private defense attorneys that also feel strongly about this. So there were just a few points that I wanted to add to what Mr. Tu had mentioned. The first thing is that the Crisis Triage Center has greatly benefited my clients. There have been a number of clients that I've had that have had much better access to resource as a result of the Crisis Triage Center. It has made a tremendous difference in our practice having this as a resource. Before, we weren't quite sure who we could, where we could refer people who were experiencing a crisis or how to connect them with services. So being able to tell family members and clients themselves where they can go directly or who they can call makes a huge difference. Another point that I'd raise is just that we do have a number of resources here in the state of New Mexico. It's just been difficult making sure that people are aware of all the resources and connecting with them. Housing resources, mental health, substance abuse, transportation, all these different things. So having the Crisis Triage Center there to give people a moment, to give them an opportunity to talk with people from our office, to have them be someplace where they can be referred to other services, it's just made it so much easier to access those other resources and be way more effective. So I just think it's a crucial part in making sure that all resources available here in the county are being accessed and used effectively. And my final point would just be that I do spend a lot of time at the jail meeting with clients. There aren't a whole lot of resources. There isn't a whole lot out there that's close to the jail, but there is the Crisis Triage Center. So that makes all the difference in the world to our clients. Sometimes they get out of jail and they don't have someone who can pick them up. They might have to walk for miles to get where they need to go for housing or for work. But having the Crisis Triage Center be there right near the jail makes such a big difference, and that's a tremendous resource, something that can help them rather than contributing to the revolving door issue or them remaining homeless or putting their lives at risk. So just wanted to make sure that I expressed that our office is greatly in support of the Crisis Triage Center. We do think that it is a very important priority that it remain open, and of course, however the commission needs to address that, we just ask that you do whatever is possible to try to keep it open. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Dr. Bethany Wellman. I am a clinical psychologist as well as the director of counseling at New Mexico State University. Since I have been at NMSU, we have been a heavy utilizer of the Crisis Triage Center. It is our primary referral source. Our students utilize the Crisis Triage Center frequently. We are at about a 200% clinical capacity at our counseling center, and we are at 94% capacity in comparison to, so we are 94% over clinical capacity in comparison to the rest of the country. So there is a high demand for clinical services in our community, particularly for our university students, which we are a college town. So, you know, we are a central hub for the community, right? And so being able to refer to the Crisis Triage Center has significantly decreased our hospitalizations. We want our clients to be able to be in the least restrictive environment. So since the Crisis Triage Center has been established, we have had 0 involuntary hospitalizations during business hours. So we are able to either refer students to the Crisis Triage Center or work with students for voluntary hospitalization. Obviously, we do have some involuntary hospitalizations that happen after hours, but being able to decrease those involuntary hospitalizations and have a referral source that doesn't involve EMS, that doesn't involve PD, significantly reduces the trauma that students experience, that clients experience when they're having a mental health crisis. And so I think that that's hugely significant. And as far as access goes, the Crisis Triage Center has been a facility that, being in a border community, our students who are international students, we provide metro tuition for students who live within about 50 kilometers of the US-Mexico border, but they may not have access to insurance in the US. And so it provided access to care for our international students, which are really just, you know, they're part of our community. We're a binational community, as well as for our students who are undocumented or who have immigration concerns that don't have access to healthcare or social services. So I think for those purposes, it was hugely advantageous for us. It was a resource that can't be replicated through MMC, that can't be replicated through MESIA or PEAK. We love working with them, but they're not accessible to a huge chunk of our community. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Champ. I'd also like to address the Crisis Triage Center issue. I am also an attorney at the Public Defenders. I say that as an introduction and also because I think there's a good chance I'm going to accidentally refer to you as Your Honor at some point while I speak. It's just a force of habit. I want to build on something that my coworker, Krista Bailey, brought up, and that's who's being helped right now by the Crisis Triage Center. I hear, Commissioner Sanchez, your concerns that in order to expand funding, you want this to be accessible to everyone in the county, and I think that's really valid. I think we have a lot of mental health issues that need treatment throughout the county. But as a public defender, my concern is with some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and those are the people who have been accused of crimes and who, based on their income, qualify for our services. So these are people who are living in poverty and have been accused of crimes, often because of their mental health issues. Often the cause of these crimes is because they are not receiving the treatment that they need. This vulnerable population uniquely benefits from the Crisis Triage Center as it is running right now. As Ms. Bailey pointed out, this is something they can walk to from the jail. This is something they can go into immediately after incarceration. This is important because for many of my clients, incarceration serves as an inflection point in their lives. Not all of them. Some of them, you know, it's going to take a few times. But for some of them, they sit in jail. If they're on drugs, they have the opportunity to become sober from those drugs, to dry out, is what we like to say. And in some cases, to start becoming medicated for mental health issues they may have. And so that's why having the Crisis Triage Center immediately next to the jail helps our clients right now as it operates, not addressing whether or not to expand it, just the importance of continuing funding for the program as it exists. I want to talk about the 3.5 people statistic that's come up because part of my work is not just my clients, but also the community around them. This includes their family and their friends. And in fact, it also includes the police officers in our district and even the victims of their crimes. I spend a lot of time speaking to all of these people about incidents that happen involving alleged violations of law. And the thing I hear over and over again from every single one of them is that they just want the person to receive treatment and to receive help. This is true for their family, for their friends, for the law enforcement officers who interact with them on the daily, and in fact, for the victims of their crimes. In many, many cases, they are saying the same thing. They just want treatment. They just want them to receive help. And so, Commissioner Sanchez, I hear what you're saying, that at the original meeting, you didn't have all the information. You needed more information to expand funding. You didn't know that the Crisis Triage Center was going to close as a result of your vote on that day. What we are asking for today is that you, the County Commission, reconsider that decision, and that you keep this program going. If you don't have the information now to expand it, I urge you to continue it as it is, because it does benefit some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Thank you.
Oh, I'm small. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak today about the Crisis Triage Center. My name is Jess Spone, and I'm a licensed independent social worker and addictions counselor in our community. And I'm also the previous clinical director of the Crisis Triage Center. Right now, I work nationally with a nonprofit to help expand equitable access to crisis continuum services across the country. And let me tell you that what we have here with the CTC is an absolute gem. The way that, we are able to have that open door policy, to say no wrong door, to allow anyone to walk through those doors at any time, is something that is not seen in a lot of communities of our size, especially with the, like you were mentioning, urban-centric, but, primarily rural. I work across the country to be able to help others, communities, be able to start something like a crisis triage center. And yes, it takes a lot of funding, and no, we don't always have the right plan right away. When we opened the CTC, we absolutely did have some issues with nursing and staffing and all those things, and we found workarounds, because if Las Cruces is anything, it's resilient and creative. Right, we're able to serve all the individuals that really need it at their time of need, whenever that is, whoever they are, if they have been to the Crisis Triage Center once, or if they've been to the Crisis Triage Center 25 times. We are here for them in the recovery journey, because recovery is not linear at all. And we offer, in my perspective, we offer life-supporting services. That's an imperative and critical part of the crisis continuum, right? We think of SAMHSA's Crisis Now model, which is someone to call, someone to come, and somewhere to go, right? And without having all three of those in our community, we're doing a disservice to mental health needs. And then we're gonna re-overload everywhere else, our ERs, our jails, our police, and law enforcement officers, our mental health clinics, no matter where they're at. And I really do feel that the CTC is accessible because of the ability to have that transportation piece, which we know is a huge barrier in our area. So I just wanted to bring up that, you mentioned like looking for solutions and looking for plans. And while I definitely don't think that I have all the answers, one of the gaps that was definitely there is marketing. The CTC is there, but not a lot of people knew about it in the way that they needed to. And so we really need to, as we're looking forward and continuing to keep the CTC open, to be able to expand it, we need to saturate our community so that they understand that it is there for them. And it's available, and it's open, and it's accessible, and there's transportation available, or however it looks. But we need a lot more marketing, which is something that wasn't provided in the past. And I think that, as we're looking at funding opportunities and, new providers, or however it may look, that we need to make sure that that's included so that we can have a successful future for the Crisis Triage Center in our community. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Ari Torres, and you probably already guessed it. I'm here on behalf of the Crisis Triage Center. I'm currently a peer support worker there. Next month, who knows? I just wanted to give a little bit of personal background on what the peer side of it is. I think we've only had maybe like one person so far giving that aspect of it. So I have a bunch of different personal issues going on, disabilities, illnesses, stuff like that. It's made getting a job difficult. I'm 25 years old, and I've always wanted to contribute to this community. And at this job, I have been able to. I've been able to do something that actually matters. and makes the world better. And that is an incredible opportunity. I've always been really grateful for it. But past is in the past. Now we talk about going forward. So going forward, I just want to bring up that one of the really important things that we functioned as was an amount of emergency shelter, because people that need emergency shelter do tend to be having a mental health crisis as well. There were so many times when I was working with someone and thinking, I have nowhere where I can send this person right now other than just helping them here right now. And that's where my mind goes when I think about us being closed next month. I think, where are they going to go? All of those like regulars or the new people who would have a similar story every time, where are they going to go? What's happened to them? That's what I'm going to be thinking about for the rest of the day, for the rest of my life until the CTC is opened again, which I trust it will be under just different providership. The next thing that I'd like to stress, and previous speaker brought it up, we just needed more interaction with the community leaders, different things. Up until like last month, we were still getting police officers saying, I didn't know you guys were here. This is such a great service. And it's like, thank you for saying that. I wish you already knew it was here. So whatever the future brings, I think that keeping it in the community, keeping communication, even advertising, that's what it's going to take. And I believe that you guys and anyone else with power is going to work to make this better. Let's just try and do it as fast as we can. All right. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much, first of all, for your service to our community. My name is Lauren Zimmerman, and I stand before you not only as a constituent, but as a friend to many of the elected officials in this office and the public servants in this room. And I want to stand before you today to give you a face to CTC. Jonathan, can you stand up for a second? At a moment in my life when I needed crisis treatment the most, I called Jonathan at the CTC, and he repeatedly helped me. Like many of your constituents, I had a lack of health care, but an abundance of mental health issues at that time. And he assured me that I would not lose my house. I would not go bankrupt for seeking services. And as you guys may know, the #1 reason for bankruptcy, foreclosure in the United States is medical debt. So the fact that we have CTC here, although it sounds like it was not properly managed and maybe that's not the right provider, I need you guys to understand how important it is that that service continue to be available in our community. I never thought of myself as somebody who would need those services until I did. And because many of my friends are in this room from CTC and from other realms, I just want to make sure that you understand that those 3.5 people a day could be somebody that you know. And not long ago, it could have been me. So I implore you to find some stopgap funding. I implore you to keep pushing for the accountability. As a taxpayer, I completely understand your need for accountability and your desire to make sure that our tax money is spent wisely. But there has to be some sort of solution here with stopgap funding. There has to be some sort of solution here with maybe a better provider. But what I can tell you could not be any better are the people here on the ground from CTC and the services that they provide. Because of my long storied history of mental health challenges, I got the best mental health service I've ever received in my life from the people that are working there 23 hours a day. So please, I implore you to try hard, probably beyond your capacity or your due to work for this issue, but please try and keep it open as much as you can. Thank you so much.
Good morning, County Commissioners. Public speaking is not something that I enjoy, but I feel the need to stand up for my community that I both live and work in. My name is Timothy James. I'm a registered nurse currently employed by RI International at CTC. Prior to working at the Crisis Triage Center, I worked at Mesilla Valley Hospital, an acute inpatient, and prior to that, I worked as a emergency room nurse at Memorial Medical Center here in Las Cruces. I can tell you I'm very familiar with the behavioral health needs of our community, and I also live in the zip code. So every time I go home from work, I drive through the epidemic and the problem. It's unfortunate to me to hear the comments that you did not know that the CTC would close if you denied the funding that was given to us by the state, which was allocated to pay for the staff through the remainder of June. I do still believe in the work that RI International is doing. They are the leaders nationwide, and the irony is that they continue to be the top consultants in the state for building crisis networks. So to me personally, I believe that the problem is within the county and community partners not working together to find a way to move forward to make this successful. Crisis Triage Center, ironically, since that last meeting, our numbers have increased. We've been on average servicing 5 to 6 people a day. It's just disappointing to know that come January 31st, that door is gonna close and there was no contingency plan in place in the event that RI was unable to continue forward, given the circumstances. This puts it back on us and we have to come up with a solution. I would like to also thank Jamie Michaels for her professionalism and dedication to this community. She has been a huge advocate. And I hope moving forward that the commissioners will listen to the behavioral health experts when making their decisions. Thank you.
Good morning. So I'm more of a listener than a speaker, but Mr. Sanchez was talking about wanting to know the game plan for the future and everything, but as you saw, we have a lot of people who are willing to push, make moves, getting with the community, and I feel with your help and support with that as well, we would be able to find those providers, help have organizations give us that push as well. And like Tim said as well, our numbers went from 3 to that 5 to 7 guests in that same day. So I feel we're already on the same track and we're having people call us asking, are we still open or what's the situation? We're having people come and support us and wanting us to stay open. And as the lady said, that we're only focused on people unhoused or people living on the streets, but I feel that is not true. I've dealt with people coming in for identity crisis, people going through domestic disputes, through breakups. And so it's not just substance abuse, it's all types of crisis, people who have gotten kicked out of their house and stuff like that. And me being one of those persons back in 2020, and I was feeling suicidal and actually made that attempt, and now working in mental health, I feel it's something more personal and something we should need, because having people come in and feeling that way and knowing January 31st, we're gonna close, people come in, people call just to feel a little bit better, and knowing that they're not gonna be able to do that just kind of, I'm gonna be having those thoughts. And like I was saying, you have all these people willing to work together on doing that. With that little help from you guys, I feel we can to make those changes as well. Thank you.
Is there any more public come on up? Of course.
My name is Sally Theus. I've worked in the field for over 23 years, working with different organizations and agencies throughout the community. And working for Crisis Triage Center has been a huge, eye-opening experience. Not only am I working with people with substance abuse issues, but mental health as well, and they've always gone hand in hand. And I have never worked with a group of people so fantastic as the ones that I work with now. I commend them all. They all have integrity, they're compassionate, and they have gone above and beyond to help all those in the community, from the detention center to people on the streets. And like was mentioned, there's a lot of people that are living on the streets that have severe mental health issues. We've dealt with people that have military backgrounds, that have no advocacy for any types of resources, and we've actually been able to help them, to place them in housing, to provide them with medical services, all that's needed. So it is unfortunate that this facility has to close because of the fact that there's limited resources. We're looking at quantity versus quality, and this was definitely a quality facility. So with that said, again, you know, I can't say as much as everybody else has said, but it's all comes together. You know, this is definitely something that we really need in this community. And when I initially started, I thought this was a great idea and it was gonna work, but obviously, so I can't speak for everybody, but I'll be more than willing to help in any way I can. I used to do street outreach in Picacho back in 2000 and actually talk to people that are injecting drug users and educated them. And that's what I think this community is really in need of, is education and more information on how this program works. So with that said, thank you for your time.
Any more public comment?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would you, because there were certainly other input in this discussion where normally we don't do that, let me ask, I know that the next thing on the agenda is staff input, but let me ask for your indulgence and allow Ms. Jamie Michaels to address the commission under this public input as part of this ongoing discussion and input that you have received.
Could it not be done under staff input?
Well, I'm not sure if there's anyone else that's going to come forward.
Anyone else for public input at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to staff input. Ms.
Thank
Jamie
you.
Michael.
If we could start with Ms. Michaels.
Thank you. Good morning. Jamie Michael, County's Health and Human Services Director. So provide a little bit of update for you all first. Unless told otherwise, I am going to work to find a new provider and make sure that it is reopened as soon as possible. Mr. Macias and I have already contacted some of the local agencies to see if there is an interest and the capacity to do so. It's not going to happen quickly. Obviously, going through credentialing and licensing is a process. The New Mexico Department of Health, I've already contacted them. There is not a process for an emergency license, but they're willing to work with us because they see the need to have the disruption in care for as short a time as possible. So that's the work that I'm doing and have been doing for the past 2 weeks, is to identify a new provider and bring something to you all to get the facility back open as soon as possible. I also want to clarify a few things just to make sure that we all have the same understanding and the same facts to the issue. First, I want to thank the folks that are here that work for RI International. So can I ask the RI staff that are here and have been working in the Crisis Triage Center, the folks that work 24/7, all of the holidays, to stand up, because I think I owe them gratitude, and I think our community and county owes them gratitude. So can I ask them to stand up for me, please? They do a fantastic job. I do receive data from RI about feedback from guests who have been received service at the center, and the feedback for the most part is all exceptional and very complimentary of the folks that work there and the services that are offered there. I know that there is always room for improvement. There's always things that we can do better, hindsight and going forward, to improve the work that we do. I don't think this team ever stopped trying to make these improvements and do better for the community, do better for their guests. So again, I thank them. RI International is a nonprofit organization, and they did not profit at all from the services that they provided here in the contract with the county. It was written into the contract that way. They also, for the first 2 years, invested their own money, so over $1 million they invested to fill the gap in funding and utilization for the first year and a half, but as a nonprofit, their board told them that they cannot continue doing that. So obviously, if their funding runs out in January and we don't have operational costs to cover January through June, they are no longer able to operate in our community. And if the lack of communication on my part led to the decisions that the county commission made last week, then I apologize. There was not an intent to withhold information or not give you the accurate information to make these decisions. I also want to thank RI for not just investing the financial contributions to our community, but they also came in and really helped change our perspective on how peer support workers can work and be part of the workforce. They trained all of the folks that are doing this great work, and they're going to leave that all behind. So I do hope that the employees that currently work at the Crisis Triage Center will consider coming back, because they're the ones who know what this work looks like and what it should look like going forward. I will continue, again, to look for operators. We will continue conversations with all of the folks who make referrals into the facility and all of the folks who are making, accepting people as they're leaving the facility to continue to connect them to care. Recently, both Mesilla Valley Hospital and Peak Behavioral have been very willing to help step in and provide some crisis care at their facilities as needed and discuss with us how to continue the operations of the CTC. So more to come on that, but primarily want to thank all of the folks who came here today, especially the employees at RI who have been doing this work. Thank you.
Any other staff input today, Mr. Macias?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, although it doesn't really address anything related to the Crisis Triage Center. So if I can just bring to the attention of the commission that at the meeting of the Association of Counties, the Doña County achieved 2 significant efforts of recognition. I have with me a plaque that is given for the 2023 Safety Award to Doña County for achieving a positive claim trend and the lowest frequency of workers' compensation claims for 2023. I'd like to recognize the legal department, but including Stephen Maurer, for their efforts that have led to this recognition, and I believe that part of it, oh yes, and forgive me, Mr. Ron Burek as well, in that recognition. And again, I think that as part of that recognition, they gave the county a $7,000 check or award. Also, I have a Audit Accountability Award, fiscal year 2022 to Doña County. This recognition was given by our state auditor, Mr. Joseph Maestas. Recognition in terms of a very clean audit, recognized us as a large county audit achievement. Some of the individuals that are really primarily responsible for this achievement within our finance department are here present, and I'd like for them to stand and receive the recognition of the county commission. So I believe that Nazrin, Raquel, the whole team from within the finance department that have led to this. And although it isn't presented yet, but it's been made public, they're going to have achieved the same effort, the same accomplishment this past fiscal year as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is this a first for a commissioner to be up here by themselves on a meeting?
Well, you certainly don't You do have a quorum.
We
I
still
hope.
do, yes. Well, hopefully.
I see Commissioner Chaparro, Commissioner Murillo, so yes, you
Okay.
have that. So, Mr. Chairman, will you come down
Of course.
and hold the award and be part of the photograph? And can I have the rest of the team come up as well? Unless you don't like the way you look in a picture, then you certainly have the option to stay seated. Sure. You bet. Nelson.
Come on over to the center for me.
And this one actually goes to all of the employees of Doña County who managed to not get hurt. So it's really them and not us.
Any other staff input? Seeing none, we have elected input, and I do see that we have some elected officials. Gina's coming up, Ms. Ortega.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Sheldra Hernandez, Commissioners Reynolds, Sanchez Chaparro, and Murillo. My name is Gina Eugenia Montoya Ortega, assessor here at Doña County. Just wanted to give a little update on what our assessor's office is currently working on. We're actually preparing for our NOVs, which will be sent out by April the 1st. In our commercial, residential appraisal departments, including land and manufacturing housing, we are busy getting new construction on record, working permits, verifying sales, and getting ready to value. Our front office staff is working on entering the business personal property forms that have been submitted and due to our office by February 29th. So if anybody that's listening or might go back and look at that, if you have not submitted your business personal property form, please do so. Our GIS department is busy working on claims of exemptions, also known as COEs, subdivisions, and transfers from the clerk's department. Our deeds and title ladies are completing the 2023 documents and mapping documents. Last but not least, we are here, just wanted to let everyone know that we here in the assessor's office want people to know that if you have any questions, comments, etc., for our assessor's office, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact us, as we are here to serve and we want to help where we can. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair and Commissioners and County staff. I am Tessa Abeda, Under Sheriff, and I'm here on behalf of Sheriff Stewart and joined by Major Day and much of our command staff. And we're here to give out a bit of our 2023 departmental highlights. We do have a packet for you all, if we're allowed to approach, to give some of those items. Commissioners that are online, we will be able to email these to you as well, but we'll also have printed copies for your office. So thank you for following along a little differently with us today. Can we give those? Thank What you are going to see is a section of all of our divisions and some of the great highlights that we've done this year. When you open up to page 1, you'll see what we have for new personnel. We have hired over 42 new individuals over 2023, including 29 cadets, evidence specialists, crime scene technicians, and others. What we won't do, I won't go through every single item because there is a lot of information here, but at any point, please feel free to stop and ask any questions that you may have. For recruitment events, we had over 429 contacts from 17 events, ranging everywhere from Clovis, New Mexico, all the way to El Paso. In our criminal investigations department in 2023, we saw a decrease of 26.2% in reported felony violent crimes and a 25.8% decrease in reported felony property crimes from our 2022 numbers. Some of those highlights: for felony cases reported, we had over 1,724, and from that, cases assigned, 1,123. One of the items that I think is notable and to be mentioned is unattended deaths. Last year, we had 219 total. One of the items that we've seen that has been a different trend in 2021, we had a total of 11 migrant deaths that we attended, and then in 2022, we had 8. For 2023 numbers, we had 70 migrant deaths, and so you can see a stark increase, and we want to make sure that that is brought to your all's attention. From that, we had aggravated assaults were at 175, burglaries 371. Felony larceny and auto thefts totaled at 399, and 250 of which were vehicles stolen, which is actually a decrease of 18%. Financial crimes were at 111, and total felony arrests by CID was 183. We did numerous trainings within this department too that ranged from everything from detectives to voice stress analyzers to interactions for protection of children. With intel cases, there were 73 cases worked, 52 arrests, 367 persons removed from human traffickers, 31 recovered stolen vehicles, and over 3,250 fentanyl pills seized. For sex offender registration and tracking, we had 359 reported to DASO. In our special response team, we had 24 total activations. We had 19 with the search and arrest warrants and 5 in security details. We also had many trainings, including 24 collateral training days on the first and third Wednesday, 2 SWAT schools, and 2 full-scale exercises. And we had 9 outside agency trainings, 7 in new tactical operations, and 7 in community events. Our bomb squad had 6 SRT activations and attended 8 suspicious packages and IED activations. They also participated in many trainings, including tactical legal updates and other community engagement events. For legal services, we had for evictions 769, restraining orders 772, and subpoenas 13,263. And others, we had other types of writs, including that of garnishment and writs of execution, and a total number of 15,010. Project Lightsaver had callouts of 14, and our victim advocates had callouts of 49, and walk-in appointments of 158. In total, with orders of protection, safe house transports, and other interactions, they had 1,709 for the department. As you can see, we also had different types of use of force investigations, and tracking for external and internal complaints. For our Metro Narcotics Division, what you can see here is a log list of different types of arrests, including our felony drug arrests, which were 251, call-outs were 280. Our undercover operations were at 64, and our seizures for fentanyl was up 120% this year, with approximately 85,910 pills. Heroin was down 5% from the last year, and we were able to recover 73 firearms and currency of over $600,000. Our patrol answered over 88,864 calls for service. Incident reports were 13,820, and citations were 21,686. DWI arrests were 327, and patrol arrests 1,893. In our traffic, citations was 9,387, with arrests at 172, and DWI 50. Our traffic crash reports had an increase this last year of 32%, with 718, and our fatal crash reports also saw an increase of 48%, with 16. Total citations were at 31,073, and total reports 13,828. We did respond to 222 mental health calls requiring either protective or voluntary custody. From that, 15 were voluntary. All the rest were requiring protective. For training, we held over 97 events, many of which were a bit more thorough than the previous year and required longer hours. Our officer wellness program is one that we are building, and we have 12 members of our peer support team and 728 wellness contacts, 302 hours of peer support, not including callouts, and 5 callouts for activation for specialized items. Our team also had representation at different agencies, including coordinating with Oni Garcia of the Hard Truth Training and 65 attendees. For our staffing levels and positions filled, we already mentioned, but we had 208 at the end of January. Law enforcement, 154, and non-law enforcement, 54. We do have a total of 19 vacancies for law enforcement and non-law enforcement at 20. And we had several notable achievements for 2023, including that of the CALIA certification, the securing of over $3,835,000 in grant money. We provided decommissioned radios to Doña County ACOs and Codes Department, and provided 10 decommissioned police vehicles to the sheriff and municipal departments across the state. Our sheriff was able to represent small and rural law enforcement with DHS office at the state and local law enforcement level, and represented the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition on the State and Local Intelligence Council. We updated U.S. senators in the Fight Crime, Invest in Kids initiatives, and completed multiple regional trainings across events for law enforcement partners. Expansion on refurbishing parts and programs for DASO fleet services saved thousands of taxpayer dollars, and a sheriff was appointed to the Cannabis Regulatory Advisory Committee and selected to participate in national program for election security by DHS. There was participation and membership in the West Texas, New Mexico Executive Leadership Group and attending conferences, including that of women in law enforcement. And we know that was a lot of information to be shared, and like you said, we are open for any questions that you might have at this time. If not, you'll also notice there is my card in your packet. Please feel free to reach out to the sheriff or myself.
Wonderful, thank you, Undersheriff. Commissioner Sanchez or any commissioner on with us via WebEx, do you have any questions for Ms. Abeta? No. Manny? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Congratulations to everyone. This is great information to have. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and much thanks to the department and all the officers and staff for all the hard work that they've done this year.
100%. Thank you so much. Ms. Zamora, welcome.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I have a fun one for you all today. Valentine's Day is coming up on Wednesday, February 14th, and I just wanted to let the public know about our Romance at the Rotunda event that our recording and filing department is working very hard on. In fact, Brandy and I are going to be performing wedding ceremonies that day. So if anyone would like to call and get their marriage license and also schedule a ceremony that day, they can call our office at 575-647-7421. All right.
How exciting. Thank you. Any other elected official comment? Seeing none, we move on to commission input. Does any commissioner, either on WebEx or sitting beside me, have any input for the afternoon? Morning, still morning. Commissioner Chaparro, Murillo, or Reynolds? Anyone?
Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Commissioner.
Earlier, I tried to say something, but I had a video going on to make it work. So thank you. I think you all know that I'm up in Santa Fe, and I'm actually representing the county for Border Industrial Association, Las Cruces Days, other organizations, and lobbying for some of the legislation that we feel are important, and also to try to get some more ICIP money allocated by the legislators. So if there's anything or anything specific you want me to attend to, let me know. I think I also saw you at the New Mexico Association of Counties event, and I stuck around for that. And I'm also trying to sort out some issues with the affiliate funding and stuff. So just want to let everybody know I'm still in Santa Fe, and I'll be back on Tuesday, Monday evening after the Las Cruces Days. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Commissioner Murillo or Chaparro?
No comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I spoke earlier, but I did want to add one item is we're working on planning a public meeting in the Garfield area right now. We're tentatively scheduled for Monday, February 12th in the evening. It'll be at, we're planning right now at Garfield Elementary, but once everything's finalized, please keep an eye out for the announcements through the county's social media pages and so on. So, but again, as I said, we're working on getting back with some community meetings. Hopefully, we're working on also targeting Rincon and possibly Doña. So those will be coming up too. But again, that's Garfield on February 12th in the evening. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome. I think we did discuss quite a bit during public comment, but along the same lines of Commissioner Reynolds, I will also be doing several public meetings coming up in February. I will be doing one in the La Mesa area. I'll be doing one at off of Picacho at the elementary school right there as you go into Picacho Hills. And then I'll also be doing one in close to Vado, since I represent a little bit of Vado, and then Barino and Chambrino, and those dates will be confirmed as soon as we get all of our information in. But those will be coming up as well. And then I know that Commissioner Reynolds, Commissioner Sanchez, and myself were up in Santa Fe last week for the New Mexico Counties meeting. A lot of good information, a lot of good seminars that happened. Really great to meet and greet some of the other elected officials within our state. So we came back with a lot of good information, and hopefully we can put that to use here pretty soon. As far as that, that's really all I have as well. Anyone else? Not seeing any. We will go ahead and move on to the approval of the minutes from the January 9th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the meeting minutes from January 9th, 2024.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Sanchez.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Reynolds. Any discussion on that? As seeing none, Brandy, if I can get a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Murillo?
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Yes. Motion does pass. Minutes are approved. Moving on to the consent agenda, the board will be asked to approve by one motion the following items of reoccurring or routine business. With that being said, is there any item that any commissioner has a question on? Okay, we would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Commissioner Murillo, so moved.
So moved.
Okay, I have a,
Second, Commissioner Chaparro.
okay, I have a motion by Vice Chair Murillo and I have a second by Commissioner Chaparro. Any discussion? Seeing none, Brandy?
Commissioner Reynolds,
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Murillo,
Yes.
Chair Shaldo Hernandez.
Yes. Consent agenda does pass unanimously.
Item number 8 has a resolution number. The number is 2024-25.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brandy. Okay, at this time, we're just going to take a short little break of 10 minutes. So we will be back at 11:15.
All right, Matt, sorry.
Are all the mics on or just mine?
Yours is on, Commissioner Reynolds.
Okay, but I heard y'all talking most of the whole time when you were taking a break. We need to ask them when we take a break.
1:16, and we're back in open session. We are moving on to approvals. We have item number 15, which is our mid-year budget revision and budget resolution for fiscal year 2024, and we have our finance director, Ms. Asma Daywood. Hello.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Asma Dawood, Financial Services Director. Today, I would be presenting the mid-year budget revision for FY24. Our fiscal mid-year is December 31st, and usually during the month of January, we come before the board and present these adjustments. So today we have 9 items that we would be going over. The first one is a revenue adjustment, and the other 8 are for expenditures. So our equalization tax came in higher than budgeted. We had budgeted 4 million. We received 6.06 million. So we are adjusting our budget to recognize this revenue for the actual. This is given to the counties who generate GRT per capita less than the statewide average in any fiscal year. So the second set of adjustments that we have are for IT. These are for expenditure budgets, and these would be covered by this equalization tax revenue increase. The first one is for Microsoft licensing for $345,000. So last year's invoice came in late, and it was paid out in July, which is the beginning of our fiscal year. Now the Microsoft licensing invoices would be due in February, and the department, it's causing a budget shortfall, so we are requesting this increase. $200,000 for cybersecurity contractor to cover the duties related to cybersecurity for an employee on extended leave. Computer replacements, $77,000. That is about 90 computers. Replacement cost for each is about $850. And the last one we have is for a software to manage and communicate county strategic plan and department priorities. So the total of these 4 adjustments for IT is $622,000. Sorry, I'm just trying to change the slide. Yes. So the next set of adjustments that we have, these are also from general funds, would be covered by the equalization tax revenue. $215,840 is for fire, and this is for the 22 new firefighter positions that were approved from the SAFER grant. This will cover their bunker gear, uniforms, education, and medical costs. For facilities and parks, the request is to increase the expenditure budget by $100,000. There were certain projects, unexpected projects, which were incurred this year, which included portable ACs for the train project, repairs at Oregon Community Center, benches at Dona Ana Plaza, fitness campaign, and ADA push button. So now the department is requesting an increase in budget to be able to complete some of their other projects, like installation of access control at 13 community centers, replacement of HVAC at Elks facility, and electrical upgrades to the elevator at the government center. The next request is for clerk's office of $118,000 increase. This is for the absentee ballot sorter. So the original cost estimate was $205,000, which was put into the budget, but now the price has gone up. So they're requesting an increase of $118,000 to their expenditure budget. The next couple of entries that we have are for HR and detention. So for detention command staff pay plan, we are requesting an increase of $12,745 to the budget. The command staff pay plan would be adding 5 steps to lieutenant and captain pay ranges to address compression issues. The annual impact is going to be $30,585. The impact in this current fiscal year is $12,745. For human resources, 1 full-time student internship training coordinator position is requested, and 4 student internship temporary employee positions. So the full-time internship training coordinator would help meet the requirements and goals of the student internship program. It is an ongoing program. 50% would be funded by the county and 50% by the grant. The annual impact is 89,000, of which 62,000 is salaries and 27,000 benefits. So the impact on this fiscal year would be 14,958 from March to June for the county's portion. For the 4 student internship employees, 1 would be a temporary admin assistant and 3 temporary HR representative positions. The admin assistant would assist with communication, distributing information, assisting in compliance, answering phone calls. The HR representatives are needed to assist coordinators with logistics, HR compliance, placement questions. The increase of 40,519 will cover the salary for the 4 positions for March and April until we receive the award. The last request on this slide is for IT. This is coming out of Local Assistance Tribal Consistency Fund, which was given to us by US Treasury for the COVID-19 grants. So we had already budgeted Workday's license and Learn on Demand component, but tax associated with these was not included, which would be 38,800. The license and Learn on Demand was also funded out of LATCF. On this slide, we have some requests for HHS. This is coming out of the Health Fund cash reserves, which is restricted funding. The first is 300,000 for youth recreational and educational activities. This would increase the services and activities for young people in community resource centers throughout the county. 6 organizations have responded to an RFP, and these funds will be used to award contracts for these activities. 180,000 is for outpatient behavioral health services. This would address the gap in access to outpatient services for people who do not qualify for healthcare coverage, and it covers people participating in jail diversion programs. The third one that we have is for 20,000, and it is for medication-assisted treatment services in jail. So the medical provider is not licensed to dispense, therefore, in order to continue medication, these funds allow community providers to deliver and administer medication to patients while in the detention center for methadone. So on this slide, we have a summary of all these adjustments that were presented. So we are increasing our general fund revenue by $2,061,251. This is equalization tax, which came in higher than budgeted. On the expenditure side from general fund, we are increasing the budget for IT, fire, facilities, clerk's office, detention, pay plan, and HR. DASSO's cameras for $810,000 were also approved at the prior meeting by BOCC. So the total general fund expenditure budget would increase by $1.965 million. And then from restricted funding for LATCF, we are increasing it by 38 and HHS by 500,000. So the total expenditure budget is being increased by 2.5 million. Please let me know if there are any questions related to the mid-year adjustments.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, any questions on the mid-year budget adjustments? Anyone joining us via WebEx?
This is Commissioner Chaparro. None, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one question.
Yes, Commissioner Sanchez.
On the HHS, the Youth Recreation and Educational Activities, I wanted to find out what that $300,000 was going to be used for specifically. I know it says for activities for young people.
Good morning again, Jamie Michael, County's Health and Human Services Department. I don't know specifically the 300,000 because the proposals are still in the review process. We sent out the request for proposals seeking recreation services at community centers for youth and also educational services, social services. So it'll be a combination or one of the 3: recreation, educational, or social services for young people at the community centers.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. I get that we have an RFP out, and I guess, are we anticipating it'll be 300,000? Do we know? I guess I'm trying to understand that we're making a budget adjustment before we know the cost of a program. So I guess generally speaking, I would have thought when we have that RFP, we approve a contract, we then do the budget adjustment. So why are we doing it now?
Commissioner Sanchez, we took advantage of the mid-year budget revision, and the applications that came in were kind of all over the place. So the lowest one was like 100,000, the most expensive one was like 2 million. And we're estimating that the contract will be in place February or March. So we're just looking at a short period of time. So 300,000 based on recommendations from staff was a reasonable amount to contract with until the end of the fiscal year. And then at that time, we can look at the actual amounts for an entire year of funding.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. I think I'm concerned at the fact that we have a budget adjustment without us knowing how much we're going to spend. So, other commissioners, maybe I'm the odd one out here, but I'm finding, like I said, why we're making the adjustment. I guess we could say we're being proactive, but again, we're not sure. We're just taking guesses. So rather than take a guess, why, and I guess, well, maybe we have to go through, I'm curious, Mr. Macias, how prevalent this is, that we're bringing budget adjustments before we know how much we're going to spend. It seems to me we're taking swags. And I understand when we do it at the beginning of the year, when we're trying to set our budget, that's one thing. But in the mid-year, we're requesting a budget increase when we have an RFP out. So we'll find that out shortly. But our practice is we get a budget, we put the RFP out, we get a contract, and we make the associated budget adjustment. So why is this here, Mr. Macias? I'm trying to understand, because I want to know how much more of this. It's the same thing with DASO and their cameras. They came forward and brought forward an agreement that said it's going to cost this much. We then were noting this as part of, there was going to be a budget adjustment. So why are we approving, and how many of these budget adjustments, and I don't know if you can answer that, if that's for Ms. Dawood, and to answer, how many of these are actual budget adjustments for amounts that we know we need, or are these just swags?
Commissioner, if I may respond to that, Commissioner Sanchez, Mr. Chair, we do both for our department, I'm speaking. We do both. The purpose of this one for 300,000 is that is the amount we are recommending that we spend on this function between now and the end of June. If we just bring you what was proposed in all of the applications, it would be over $2 million, and I didn't feel that was a reasonable recommendation to make to you all. So we are setting the budget to then develop the contracts around that dollar amount.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, again, not to engage in any kind of back and forth, but we had understood in our prior discussions that we've had with actually both of you, in terms of the importance to try to come up with the youth-related programs that we attempted this past summer that was funded. We anticipated that this was the range of cost that we should make a commitment for the rest of the fiscal year. So we thought, when you use the word proactive, that's what we thought we were doing. But if you feel that it's not solidified sufficient to your preference, that certainly is an item that can be just eliminated.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Macias, and I agree. This has been a priority we discussed a year ago, and in January of 2023, and here we are barely moving on it. So I guess I'm fine with it. I can accept the answer that this is something we're anticipating to send over the next, projection. I just want to ensure that there's thought with it without just trying to have it on the agenda just so we can get it done, and no one is the wiser, so it's just there. But I know, it's just, I want, when we look at these budget adjustments, like I said, I want to ensure that there's thoughts going into this and why we're doing it. So, and so I said, I'll leave it at that, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Besides that, I'm very excited about the youth recreational outdoor rec aspect to this. I just hope we're not limiting ourselves with the potential of what we're doing. It's just a comment. That's all it is. I just hope we're not limiting ourselves with this because that's all I have to say on that one. But besides that, any other commission comment on the slides provided for the mid-year adjustment?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Reynolds.
I just have a question. I think that this money is in addition to the money we're going to use in order to provide work for some of the high school students and college students this summer. But this is a separate program from that, if I understand it correctly. Am I?
Yes, I believe it's to fund an RFP that was put out a couple months ago for outdoor recreation. It's different from the summer internship program.
And we still have the summer internship program funding, correct?
As long as the state allocates that money during the session, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from any commissioners? As seeing none, Ms. Daywood, anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Brandy, roll call vote, please.
I think we still need a motion in a second.
So move.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Murillo.
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Reynolds. Brandy?
Commissioner Reynolds,
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Murillo,
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes.
This item has a resolution number.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
number is 2024-26.
Thank you, Brandy. Motion does carry unanimously. Moving on, we now have item number 16 under approvals, which is to authorize the publication of an ordinance amending the Doña County Code of Conduct. And we have our attorney, Mr. Gooden.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes. Before we go into discussion, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that we actually postpone items 16 and 17 to a date certain, which is the next meeting. In reviewing them, there are several changes that need to be made because it wasn't drafted well. But also I'd like to make some recommendations that are too many to address with a simple amendment.
okay.
So I'd like to have an opportunity to sit down with Mr. Gooden and review some of those before the next meeting.
Okay, we do have a motion by Commissioner Reynolds to postpone till the next meeting, approval item 16 and 17.
I second.
We have a motion and a second by Commissioner or Vice Chair Murillo. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, from my standpoint, I don't really have an issue with postponing it. Here's what I'm going to ask for, because I just heard that it was badly drafted, so I must have made a mistake on something. What I have provided for you to review is what was provided to me. And so if there's something we want to address in the drafting of this, I don't think that that's a bad idea. I think it should be done. However, if we're going to make changes to these, the commissioners that presented these should get together with Commissioner Reynolds so we know what it is that we're looking at, because the one for the ordinance for the Code of Conduct was brought forward by Commissioner Sanchez. The vast majority of what in there is for what he provided. I made a few changes here and there, minor, but if there's, and I think there could be a lot of work to be done on that one still as well, but that requires, a little more input from Commissioner Sanchez, or if Commissioner Reynolds has some input to get with Commissioner Sanchez, that would be helpful so that we know what we're doing. Because if I just have Commissioner Reynolds comes in and says, these are all the changes that should be made to this ordinance for the Code of Conduct, and those are completely different than what Commissioner Sanchez was envisioning when he submitted this in to begin with, we're going to have a lot of issues, because which version do we then present in 2 weeks? Okay, and then the same line with number 17 as well. This was brought forward by the chair, made the amendments that were there based upon that. And if Commissioner Reynolds wants to have further discussion to try and work out the language, I think that's a good idea as well. But it needs to be done so in a timeline that we can bring it back forward. And if this is what one of the commissioners wants, is the way it's already drafted, because that's what they submitted, and they don't want to do what Commissioner Reynolds says, okay, then the motions to amend can be done during the meeting. But otherwise, that's going to be my ask for it if you're going to, if we do that, if we do postpone it. Just my 2 cents on it there.
No, thank you for that.
Mr. Chair.
I appreciate that, Mr. Gooden.
Mr. Chair.
Give me one moment, Commissioner Reynolds. Mr. Gooden, as far as the publication goes for the ordinance amending the code of conduct, once the publication goes out, is there changes that are able to be made after that publication date?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yes, changes can be made. We often have this discussion. It's like, well, it's just for publication. We'll get it on and then we'll work out all the details. For some items, I don't know that that's a bad idea, bad practice. We have a lot of ordinances that come in for LEDA projects, and there's not really going to be much discussion. I think the degree that we can have a better, closer to finalized product before we even publish it, I think that's better, and I think that would be better in the case of the code of conduct changes because they're rather significant.
Okay.
And so, yes, we can make changes on the meeting when we actually deal with it, but we also are giving the public notice of here's what we're considering. And so to my thinking, the closer we can be to that final product when we come in for that last meeting, I think is the better, especially in something that is as significant a change as this particular ordinance would be.
Okay. Commissioner Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess why do we, I think I understand the point that Mr. Gooden has mentioned about trying to get as good of as close as an ordinance and a publication that we can. I think my concern is that I brought this forward in the beginning of December with the intent that we would have time for the commissioners to give input. Here we are more than a month later, and I got zero input from Commissioner Reynolds. So I'm more than happy to have a discussion about it. But my frustration comes in that was the intent of why I brought it over for discussion in December, was that so other commissioners would have a chance to input, not wait a month. So Commissioner Reynolds, I'm sorry if you sense my frustration, but I don't agree with postponing it. You had time, we could have discussed it. I never got any feedback from you. So I don't see why we want to, only speaking for 16, I don't see why we want to postpone it. But, I'm open, obviously I'm at the, there's all 5 of us, you all can make the decision, but I will vote no on table or the postponing to a date certain motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Commissioner Reynolds?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. If you will look on page 292, I'll give you one example of something I'd rather not push out to the public. And what it is in the middle of this, we actually quote in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, paragraph 5, it says pursuant to New Mexico State Statute 1978 7-2-14.3 G, the board must conduct a public hearing in January of each numbered year on the question of whether to adopt an ordinance authorizing property tax related rebate to benefit low-income property taxpayers. As far as I can see, there's nothing in this ordinance that actually addresses this issue. So to put this out to the public, in my opinion, as Mr. Gooden said, would actually make us look like we haven't actually done our work. And however, and I admit to you, Commissioner Sanchez, that I hadn't had a chance to review this, and I'm not sure how I missed it, but you have a fair point there that if I've had since December to do it, I must apologize for for not doing that. But I would like to, as Mr. Gooden has said, present a product that's more closely complete to the product we'd like to have. There's nothing, there are no really significant changes to what you have put in here, but there are some nuances that I would like to address, and I'm happy to sit with you and Mr. Gooden. I think the three of us should sit together. And then I think this, on number 17, I'd love to sit down with the chair and Mr. Gooden, and the three of us sit together early next week in order to just to review these issues and make my recommendations and my comments and see if we can't get a product that's more closely related to what I believe we can pass. So my apologies for not doing this sooner. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm looking for the area that Commissioner Reynolds was talking about, what he's saying. It does appear that it was a drafting error on my part on the notice that would be published, which is easily fixed to take out the irrelevant material before it goes out for publication. I'm trying to pull that up right now to look at that. So I remember specifically seeing that language and thinking that I had removed it.
Was it page 311?
It's actually page, let me see if I can find page number on mine. I'm looking at the actual document itself. Let me look at another. No, I can't see the page. I see page 292 of 359 on the lower right-hand corner.
Okay.
And by the way, for everyone on the board, this is not, I'm not trying to make a comment that anybody has or has not done their job. I'm just saying that we need to provide a draft to the public that's going to better represent the county commission.
So, and Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I think we can go forward with, if that's the will, is to go forward with the publication, removing that paragraph that is in the notice. And that Commissioner Reynolds is correct, that should not be in the notice because it refers to something else. But I think removing that paragraph before the notice is published would make it appropriate as to that, as far as that portion. That is the notice of publication, which needs to be accurate, I concur, but it is not the ordinance itself that is being considered. I don't know if there's any other changes that are looking towards that would be of this similar nature, but that can be removed and it be published with that removed, or it can be postponed to have further discussion about the entire packet.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Sanchez, or
and
Reynolds, I apologize.
You've done that a couple of times, but it's okay. I respectfully appreciate you calling me Commissioner Sanchez. I'm fine with that. There are several other items. I mean, roughly about 10 things I'd like to discuss in both ordinances at least, and to spend the time discussing them as a board collectively may not be nearly as sufficient as the three of us sitting down, Commissioner Sanchez, Mr. Gooden, myself, and then again, Chair, myself, and Mr. Gooden sitting down separately to consider the second one. I promise it won't take but maybe an hour with each of those, but I'd like to do those early next week, like maybe Wednesday. Possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner discussion? I'm seeing none. Brandy, if you can do a roll call vote on the motion to postpone till the next meeting for item number 16 and 17.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
No.
Vice Chair Murillo?
Yes.
Chair Sheldon Hernandez?
No. Motion carries 3-2.
So, Mr.
With
Chair,
that
Commissioners,
being
what I would ask then is, we got to keep in line the agenda timeline that we've got. So we need to be
Yes, sir.
posting this next agenda on, I think we actually have 3 weeks before
We
the
have
next
3
meeting.
weeks.
So we have a little extra time, but, we are trying to get the agenda items are as finalized as possible. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but we're trying to have them finalized on the Tuesday before the agenda posts. That doesn't always happen, and then obviously we need a good title by Tuesday when the agenda would post, and then things finalized before then, but we're really striving to try and get these done now, finalized the Friday before the agenda posts. And my calendar is fairly available, is pretty available for the next 2 weeks to be able to work on these with the commissioners. So just let me know, and also if there's some input, something, as Commissioner Reynolds pointed out here, that is that blatantly wrong, send that to me ahead of time and we can get that fixed up before we meet. But that would just be my request as we're going forward with these items as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gooden. And with that being said as well, Commissioner Reynolds, I think the ball is in your court to make those corrections and give them to Mr. Gooden as well as Manny Sanchez on number 16. And then on my change of the agenda layout, if you can please contact me as soon as possible for any changes on that. The ball is in your court to make those connections and that communication. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, I've already made notes in my copy, and what I'll do is I'll send those to everyone. I'll send 16 to, or excuse me, I'll send 16 to Commissioner Sanchez and 17 to you, and both to Mr. Gooden, probably later today, or as soon as we get off this meeting. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. And as far as it goes for future agenda items like this, if we can please do our due diligence to make our concerns and questions known to those that are carrying that resolution or amendment before the meeting happens so that we can have a seamless and wonderful meeting without hiccups or concerns being brought up at the meeting instead of beforehand when there's questions. Moving on, we do have under approvals number 18, which is going to be adding Vista del Rey Road to the Doña County ICIP list. And we have Mr. Mo Moebed, our county engineer, and Commissioner Shannon Reynolds, District 3.
Can we make a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
So move.
Okay, I have a motion by Vice Chair Murillo.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Reynolds. Mr. Mo, come on up.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. This project was requested by Commissioner Reynolds through the County Manager to myself to add this project to ICIP for Doña County. I'm here to answer any questions or concerns.
Commissioner Shelton, or Mr. Chair.
Yes, County Manager.
Thank you. The request actually came from State Representative Doreen Gallegos, and I believe that it came through to Commissioner Reynolds, who then brought that to my attention, indicating that she was prepared to commit state resources to be able to do this project. Apparently, it's a project that right now, water lines are being put into the road. I believe constituents approached her. She seems fully on board. It's a $541,000 cost. Again, we've told her that getting it on the ICIP doesn't mean necessarily that the commission will accept the responsibilities, that would have to be a decision made at a later date if the money comes in. We've also informed her, just like we have for any other road, where a legislator has wanted to see it on an ICIP list, that they would have to fully fund it, that there wouldn't be any pledge or commitment of county resources since it is not a county-maintained road at this time. Again, what the accommodation is to respond to the request from a legislator who is interested in funding the project.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman?
thank you. Yes, Commissioner Sanchez.
Mo, this road, Vista del Rey, does it connect with other paved roads?
Is it one?
Does it connect with other paved roads as it exists now? Are there other paved roads in the community where this is
Yeah,
at?
we have the County Road B19 that goes from I-25 from I-10, I'm sorry, east connects to another road called Santana Road. And then Santana Road ends at the end of Santana Road, which is another half a mile of private road, an unpaved road, connects to the Vista del Rey. So Vista del Rey is really a small portion of a road that is both sides dead ends.
So this is not an arterial road?
No.
Vista del Rey. Okay, I'm just trying to understand why we're gonna look to pave money or take money from the state from an put it on our ICIP list to possibly fund a road that is that doesn't meet a majority of the requirements of the resolution that we have. The only requirements that it could potentially meet is the fact that we could get capital outlay money. And this was the resolution that was approved and amended earlier this year by this commission. But for the most part, it doesn't meet the criteria that we have in that resolution. Is that correct?
If you're asking my opinion about how important this project is to our department.
Well, I didn't want to get into like the opinion, but I'm just wondering does it meet criteria? As a professional
engineer working for the Doña County, this project does not meet any of the requirements or criteria that we are pushing for our roads. It does not have any crash data or traffic issues. It does not have any connectivity, and also it does not create better mobility.
Thank you. Thank you, Mo. Commissioners, I know my thoughts haven't changed since we discussed Firehouse Road and Tres Caballos, in that we shouldn't be pushing and paving roads just because a legislator tells us to. We need criteria. And even the criteria we have, this doesn't meet it. But I would like to take the opportunity that I mentioned at that time, we haven't moved forward with it. And so I'd like to make the request that we make criteria that makes these, that they can bring forward during these conversations that help us understand how does it get scored? Does it meet a majority of the criteria? Does it not? And so but we need that criteria. We need improved criteria. And so I'd like for us to consider working with Mo, whether that's in a work session. I think it'd be a perfect opportunity for us to have a work session to discuss this further. So that way, when we have these conversations, we know right away, this graded so much on the criteria or did not. And I think it will help light our way. But to support the paving of a road that is out in, while I understand reading the background, why we're doing it, it just doesn't make sense that we're now going to add a road in the community that we will have to maintain that really only helps a small few when we have so many other roads in our communities that we could use money for or look at paving. So again, like I said, I think this is an opportunity for us outside of this, for us to maybe have a work session and discuss our criteria for what roads we want to look at paving in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Also, Brandy, let the record state that Commissioner Chaparro has signed off. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I just might make I'm not trying to contradict anything that has been said. I don't necessarily believe that I have any differences of opinion. However, I'm just asking that we step back and look at the broader consequences of our relationships with legislators. All you're being asked to do is to allow it to appear on the ICIP so that Representative Gallegos can see if she can get the funding. Obviously, whether we accept the money, whether we go forward, all of those are issues that are out there. We do rely on her and her support and the support of other legislators for other county priorities. This is not, again, asking any immediate commitment from resources. It does appear to be an area that has potential future growth consequences because of the amount of activity in terms of putting infrastructure into the area. So I would, again, The only request at this point is to allow it to appear on the ICIP so that Representative Gallegos can make a determination as to whether or not she has access to the funding that could put in a road that will not require county resources to put it in. Certainly, the discussion would be whether we adopt the road and continue to maintain it in the future, and we would have to do that.
And Representative Gallegos contacted us in person for this request? Because I'm reading over the Vista Del Rey Mutual Domestic Water Consumer Association's meetings, and it looks like, or is this what we're going off of?
No, there was a direct communication, several communications. I had to make sure that I was clear in terms of what the cost was, what it would take to really put the road. Mo certainly gave a very good, accurate, I believe, cost estimate for the road. I did have brief conversations with Commissioner Reynolds related to the topic as well.
Okay. And then Mo, is Santana Road paved or unpaved?
I'm sorry?
Santana Road, is that the road that feeds into?
Yeah, Santana Road is Santana Road is the road that connects the Vista del Rey to the county road.
Is it paved or unpaved?
Santana Road, the portion that belongs to the county is paved. The portion that does not belong to the county is not paved.
So the portion that does not belong to the county is up by Vista Del Rey, is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
So if we are paving Vista Del Rey, are we also paving the remainder of Santana?
The Commissioner, you're correct. I mean, otherwise our forces have to drive over a private road to get to a county road. We have a county road that is not connected to our system, so we have to adopt this portion of Santana Road also.
Are we paving that as well?
We did not ask for the money for that portion, but
So we're going to go from paved to unpaved, then to paved. Is that right? That is.
that's correct. We're driving over Santana Road that is paved.
Yeah, Santana Road going to Vista Del Rey is not paved. So what is the logical thinking behind not also acquiring Santana Road to finish it off? Because that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. By the way, this discussion is, I'm like Mr. Macias, I can't disagree or argue with any of the discussions occurring, and I actually support a lot of the conversation. However, I know that we did discuss with Representative Gallegos the possibility and provided an initial estimate of what it would cost to do both roads. And this whole thing evolved from the fact that there was excess money that was actually planned or infrastructure out there for a different project. And she had the money already allocated, it's already available. And she said that since she wasn't able to use it for that project, and she still had it, she would like to use it to fix this road, which will be one step toward getting the infrastructure necessary to grow that area. And since she had the money, that they would like to have the road paved, and she directly requested it of me and Mr. Macias, I felt that based on comparing to some of our past behavior with other roads, that we could allow this one to happen and then go back and revisit exactly what the criteria should be and how do we actually determine this in the future so that we have a consistent policy. Because right now, I still don't believe that we have a consistent policy on how we handle these things. And having, as Mr. Macias pointed out, a direct request from a legislator who funds a lot of other projects in the county, I think we should at least consider it and try to lessen our involvement as much as possible of having a responsibility of actually putting in the road or maintaining the roads. But that's something we have to deal with in the future. So Mr. Macias is correct. We put it on the ICIP. She funds it, great. If she doesn't fund it, that's great too. But if she does, then we have another decision to make, and I think we can cross that bridge later. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we actually just amended the resolution about how this process works. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sorry to jump in here. Yes, that's correct. Resolution 2023-59. We amended and added Section 3 of the resolution, which states, prior to considering whether a non-county maintained road should be accepted for maintenance, the road may be included on the county's infrastructure capital improvement list, or plan, sorry, in order to determine the funding that may be available for the project, should the BOCC wish to consider the acceptance of the non-county maintained road into the county's road inventory. So that was the piece that was approved 3-2 previously, and it was actually on the August 8th, 2023 meeting. So yes, that is the resolution that you're talking about.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, then that resolution actually supports the action we're trying to take.
Yeah, to adopt the road prior to it being put on the ICIP list, correct?
Mr. Chair, I think it was the other way around. I think if he read it, if I heard him correctly, I think it said that we need to verify the funding before and put it on the ICIP and verify the funding before we decide to accept it as a road, is what I heard.
What it's saying is that the board, can authorize it on the ICIP without having to adopt the road because you're waiting to see if the funding is provided by the legislature.
Okay. And then my last thought on this one then would be, it does not make sense to me that we would go from paved to unpaved to paved. That to me does not make sense. It does not compute in my mind. Is there a way that we can, or do something with the ICIP list to where there would be money allocated to finish Santana Road to Vista Del Rey? Is there a way that we can do that?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Macias, I believe we could actually amend this resolution to add Santana to the request, but there's not very high probability that we would get the funding for that. But that is one of our options if you believe that we need to have Santana paved to Vista Del Rey. We still have the option to put that on the ICIP list as well with an amendment.
Mr. Chair, let me just suggest again, there's always one legislative session after another. I believe that because I had that discussion with Representative Gallegos, let's be clear, where is the money supposed to be going? Because there was a request to do both of them. She felt at this time that her priority was to get Vista Del Rey paved, but because that fell within what she felt was the access to money that she would have to be able to give us the confidence that we can get that portion of the road paved. Certainly, we can have discussions with her in terms of next year, basically coming up with the additional money to finish the paving on the Santana Road.
Okay, thank you.
But to put it there now, I mean, she's already indicated she doesn't have access to enough money to do both of them.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
This is a slippery slope, and this is the slippery slope that I said when we amended this resolution. And it's a resolution, Commissioner Reynolds, that you voted no with me on. The slippery slope is that we are basically putting ICIP projects on privately owned items, privately owned roads, and seeing if, hey, we'll get money. Or it's the legislator that's telling us, hey, I want to do it this year. This is what I want. It's not a question about does this make sense in how we evaluate roads. And I understand the argument is, well, we don't have to accept it. But the point is that if we get money for it, now that's money that's just sitting there that could have gone to another project that didn't. So I again, like I said, I have huge reservations about what was approved. And if we do this to a road that it's to help the Water Association and help the local community, but if this is way out, away and not an arterial road and not really something that, I think when we have other roads in the county that need to be addressed and need to be paved and will where I believe would be a better investment to those in our communities, especially those in the colonias. Where does this stop? Where does it stop? We do this one now. Another legislator says, I want to do one here. I mean, us commissioners, we can play that game all the time, but I don't want to play games. I want things that make sense to me, so that way when I go to a commission, to a constituent, and they ask me, why did this get paid, or why didn't it get paid? I can tell them, here's why. Here's our criteria. And this just looks like we're doing, and with respect to Representative Gallegos, who I know is a huge champion for Doña County and for our projects, but it seems like we're doing favors here.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Reynolds.
Thank you. I need to probably provide a little bit of history on this and say that the money that she actually has allocated was allocated to another project in the same area. And I believe this, if my conversation, I remember correctly, is that there's some restrictions on where she's allowed to use the funds. So actually pulling it to another project, I'm not sure that that's an option. It's either she uses it for this project, or I think it goes back and gets put into a pool of funds that she may not have access to. I don't remember her saying that specifically she could use it for something else. I think she said specifically she needed to use it in this area if she used it at all, or she would lose it. At least that's my memory of the conversation.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Reynolds. Is there any public comment on this particular agenda item? Okay. Anything else, commissioners? Seeing none, Brandy, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reynolds,
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro, Commissioner Sanchez,
No.
Vice Chair Murillo, Chair Sheldon Hernandez.
Yes. Motion carries 2-1.
It shows that Commissioner Murillo is on the line. I don't know if she's having.
I was on the line, but I was trying to talk and they had
Oh.
me muted.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Murillo, what is your vote on this agenda item?
Yes. It was a yes.
Okay, motion does carry 3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we do have a hearing. Ms. Zamora, which is going to be the hearing on a wine grower license, liquor license for Public House 28 LLC, DBA Public House 28 Brewery. Welcome. Hi. Do you promise to tell the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, hello, Chair and Commissioners. Joining us today, I believe there was someone online who was going to be joining us also. We do have the team from Public House 28 here. Just to let you all know, to my knowledge, our office does not have any correspondence for this item.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Reynolds?
I think that the person she's speaking about has the name of Commissioner Murillo under it.
Pardon?
I think Ms. Stoker, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see a name for her. My screen's messed up. I apologize, my mistake.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we have not received any public correspondence on this item.
Okay. With that, is Ms. Stoker presenting?
I don't have a presentation, but I'd be happy to speak on behalf of Public House 28 LLC
Okay.
if you'd like to speak me in.
If you can go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Public House 28 is operating currently as a small brewer in Doña County. They have been for several years. We are here asking for the request of adding a wine grower's license to that same existing location. So the change would only be for the fact that we would now have the ability to produce wine and cider under the New Mexico Liquor Control Act.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions, and I believe Mr. Bruker is also there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the wine grower license for Public House 28 LLC, doing business as Public House 28 Brewery.
Okay, and I will second. So I have a motion from Commissioner Sanchez, and I have a second for myself for approval of the wine grower liquor license for Public House 28. Any further discussion, Commission? Anything from the crowd? Public comment? No? Perfect. Brandy, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reynolds,
Yes.
Commissioner Chaparro, Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Murillo,
Yes.
Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes, motion does carry, and liquor license, we approved, yeah. Is there a resolution with that or no?
There is no resolution, no, sir.
Perfect, thank you. Brandy,
Thank you very much.
Brandy, any correspondence?
We have one, Kathy and Paul Lewis versus Doña County.
And Mr. Chairman,
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I just want to note, because we just received the email from DFA that they are intending to award the county with $900,000 for a housing initiative, which is the transitional housing for people that are frequently involved with the justice system. And again, dealing with those that are dealing with behavioral health issues that would be coming out of the detention center. Normally, they would be processed through the crisis triage center, but this, the intent of this would have been to house them for longer periods of time to give them a stable living environment while they're addressing both behavioral health issues and potentially some level of charges within the criminal justice system. But just to let the commission know that the item will be coming forward in one of the future meetings.
All right, thank you, Mr. Macias.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Reynolds, Commissioner Reynolds.
can I get ask Mr. Macias a clarifying question on that just for a second?
Of course.
Is this something like the, is it called the Sonora House or something like that, that might be able to use it? I'm forgetting the name. I know I messed up the name. But one of the halfway houses, could we actually help fund one of those with that?
I believe that it's more focused on adult population rather than the juvenile population.
But there's there's several halfway houses I'll talk about that are all adult. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. It is 12:14 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.